The greatest accumulation of surviving works of early Christian art is to be found in Rome, which in fact was not a center of Christian faith. The painted decorations are generally seen in the catacombs, the underground burial places of Christians. These underground cemeteries were adopted at least as early as the 2nd century by Christians, also by Jews and others who shunned places for inhumation dedicated to pagan deities. As the early Christians believed in the resurrection of the body, they insisted on burial and objected to cremation that was normal for the lower classes in Rome. The artists who were called upon to paint Christian images in the catacombs were also not endowed with admirable skill. Like the painters of the Dura Europos synagogue, the catacomb painters disregarded all naturalistic techniques developed by the Greco-Roman art. No attempt was made to render illusionistic space. Figures are flat in rough strokes without modeling or shadows. But the catacomb paintings tell us a good deal about the spirit of the community that commissioned them. We have an interesting example to illustrate this point. 3 Men in the Fiery Furnaces is a catacomb wall painting of Rome, probably from the 3rd century AD. It shows 3 human figures painted in rough brush strokes. The painting is hardly beautiful in its own right. Moreover, in the first glance, we fail to grasp what it is all about. But it would have been appealed to its contemporary beholders altogether differently. Because the painting mainly seeks to remind the faithful of one of the instances of God's mercy and power. We read in the Bible, Daniel 3, says E. H. Gombrich, of 3 high Jewish officials under King Nebuchadnezzar who refused to fall down and worship on a given signal when a gigantic golden image of the king was set up in the plain of Dura in the province of Babylon. Like so many Christians of the period, when these paintings were made, they had to pay the penalty for their refusal. They were thrown into a fiery furnace in their coats, their hosen, and their hats. But lo, the fire had no power upon their bodies, nor was a hair of their heads singed, neither were their coats changed. The Lord sent his angel and delivered his servants. The catacomb painter here brushes aside the dramatic expression of bodily movements and gestures for its own sake. Rather, he seems to be carried away by the idea of presenting straightforward the inspiring example of endurance and salvation. The 3 men in their Persian dress with outstretched raised arms in the traditional posture of prayer, the flames and the dome symbolizing the divine help were recognizable to grasp the meaning as clearly and simply as possible. Another important early Christian imageries hail from the ceiling of an elaborate chamber in a catacomb